Thank you for joining us today at Homestead for Life. Today, we are going to make our own bacon. So what we have, we're not going to smoke it, but what we have is pork belly. You don't have to use pork belly. You can use any muscle. The skin has been poorly removed. So we are going to use this to make our bacon. So step one is curing it and using salt to pull all of the moisture out of our pork. So I'm actually going to be using all the salt, so I will use my porky hand to open that up. That's fine. So essentially we are going to use all the salt that sticks to the pork. So you are going to use a lot of salt. Remember, or keep in mind when you're picking your salt, you're not just using your normal table salt. You need to make sure there are no additives in your salt. So when you look at the ingredient list on the back of your bag of salt, you should just see salt. I know that seems like a simple concept, but most of the salts we can buy at the store do not come that way. So, for instance, I probably have, I think I found 4 different containers of salt in my house. I've got my canning salt, I've got pickling salt, I've got iodized salt, I've got non-iodized salt, I've got kosher salt. I have too much salt. And then I have pink Himalayan salt. And the only one, I guess that's not fair. I stopped looking when I found this one. But the first one I found that had nothing else on the ingredient list besides salt is my pink Himalayan salt. So you may be wondering why I would use this crazy special expensive salt on a job like this. So this was a 2-pound bag of salt. Not anymore, for sure. I got this at the Dollar Tree for, actually, I think it was still $1 then. Might have been $1.25. So this was not actually expensive salt, but on the ingredients list, you see ingredients, 100% pink Himalayan salt. That is it. There's nothing else to it. Nothing else to it. So we are just going to finish salting our pork. And so what the salt is going to do, so salt is going to draw all the moisture out of your meat, okay? So we are going to put this back in the refrigerator. We are going to put it in this tub. This is actually one of the drawers out of my refrigerator with a rack in the bottom. So we are going to put it in there on the rack so it's not sitting in the liquid that we are drawing out of it. And you are still going to need to go in and dump all the moisture out, dump all the fluid out of the bottom of that drawer. I would check it every day. So that's going to be a constant part of this process. Okay. And that's pretty much it. What sticks, it gets to keep. And that's fine. So a lot of kind of wasted salt, if you will, but. And we are going to, before this is all said and done, we're going to rinse off the excess salt. But at this stage, we want whatever sticks to it. So be very generous with your salt. We want it to dry out and cure, okay? So this process does take several weeks. So we are going to have it in the fridge for 5 to 10 days until we see no more moisture coming out of it. So if you're not draining your bucket periodically, how are you going to know, right? So another reason, even if the rack you use gives plenty of room, another reason to make sure you are draining it is for that reason. How will you ever know if it's done pulling moisture if we're not changing the bucket? Okay. And that's it for step one. So we are going to load this up into our refrigerator. Actually, I gotta do this one, the fat side over there. Load this up into our refrigerator and let it start curing. So we've had our pork bellies in the fridge for a couple weeks, and they are pretty stiff. Got that thin part there. So what we're going to do from here, there's a couple options, couple different things you can do. You can now take it and smoke it if you like that smoked flavor in your bacon. You can also hang it and let it hang dry for at least 5 days. Some people leave them hanging and just slice chunks off as they need it. Or you can just slice it, cook it right now, slice it, throw it in the freezer, whatever you want to do. So we are going to do a little bit of both, not the smoking part. So we are going to hang one for 5 days, and then we're going to slice some pieces off and compare it to the one that we are going to slice up. We're going to cook a piece right now, but then we're going to slice the rest of it and throw it in the freezer until this one is ready so we can compare them side by side. But the first thing we're going to do is rinse all the salt off of them. So we've been emptying our drainage, all the liquid coming out of it. We've been emptying this a couple times a week. Since we've got the rack in there, it doesn't have to be quite as frequently. So now we've just got to clean all that salt off, pat it dry with a towel that's been used quite a bit. We don't want one that's still going to give off any of the fuzzies. And then hang it, smoke it, cook it. So here we go. The upside to using the pink salt is that you can kind of see where it's gotten into most of the little grooves and cracks here. And then also, you don't have to cut the skin off of it. It was kind of a pain in the butt. It's a personal preference on how you like your bacon. I didn't want to eat the skin, so I peeled all the skin off. But that is entirely up to you. So now that we've got them rinsed off, we are going to pat them dry. And then get one of them hanging and then slice up this other one and cook it. So this is the one we're going to hang. This one, because it already has that thin funky spot, this is the one we're going to slice up and cook right now and test some of it out. I am not the best at thin slicing. This might not be the knife for this, but we've got a few little bacon pieces here. So that's enough to get started. I won't make you watch me cut through it all. So we're gonna cut up or cook up these pieces. I'm gonna slice up the rest of this, put it in the freezer until we are ready to compare it to this one after it's had a few days to dry. So to hang up our other piece, what we're gonna do is take our meat hook. So it has one sharp stabby end, and we're just gonna stab it through one corner, real easy. And we are gonna hang this in a cool, dry place, dry being the main thing. So for me, I'm gonna hang this in my laundry room because I don't trust my dogs in the kitchen, but the laundry room door stays shut, and I have a cabinet over a sink where I can hang it so if it does drip out any more moisture, which at this point it shouldn't, but if it does drip anything else out, it will drip it into the sink, so no worries there. So that's it for this piece, and then we just wait for those pieces of bacon to finish frying up for us. Moment of truth with our kind of extra thick cut bacon. It's pretty salty, which I guess should be expected. It's all right. For unseasoned, like no flavors added, it's pretty good. It's the same. I've had I guess butcher bacon. My sister had some hogs butchered and they made bacon out of it. Tastes about the same as that, but saltier. So nothing special, but probably next time I would probably add sugar or paprika in with my salt just to add some flavor. But yeah, it tastes like salty bacon. So we'll see how it compares to the other one in a couple days. It's been just over 5 days. I think we missed it by 4 or 5 hours. And our pork belly is dry and hard, which is what we were going for. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to slice this up and we are going to cook it right next to our pork belly that we did not hang dry and compare them. And I will tell you that I rinsed these again because the last taste test was so salty. Obviously, I left too much salt on there, and that's the downside to using a fine grained salt like I use versus a thicker, coarser salt. That would brush and rinse off much easier. So trade-offs. But so we are going to slice this up. And then we are going to throw this in the skillet right next to the other bacon that we already did. It's a little harder to slice than that one was, so. But this is it. So you can keep this hanging up and just slice off pieces as you're going to use them. You don't have to take it down. You don't have to put it in the fridge. So this, because we did take it down, or well, we never put it up, but it didn't get to finish drying. So that does need to be refrigerated now or frozen, whatever, depending on when you're going to use it. This I could literally hang back up and it would be fine. Okay, this is what they used to do. It always kind of amazes me. I'm always so interested in how they prepared and stored food back in the day, hundreds of years ago. So when they packed their ships up to come over here, how did they keep their food good for so long? So the liming eggs, we know that one already. But this is how they kept their meats good. They would salt them and dry them and hang them, and that's it. This is our bacon. So let's cook it up and taste test it. Our bacon is done. It's cooled off. I do feel like I still feel the salt on it. But so this is our original bacon that did not hang dry. Still really salty, less salty than it was last time though. And chewy. All right, and the new bacon that hung and dried more. This one's definitely better. Still really salty. But I like my bacon crunchy. And I think because it was dried in so hard, I was able to slice it cleaner and thinner. Now, if I had an actual slicer, I think we'd be in business on that. But again, really, really salty. So coarser salt rather than your fine grain salts like the Himalayan pink salt. But that's bacon, just really salty bacon. But that slab can hang in your house for, what was it? Months for sure, but potentially longer. So as far as storing and curing your meat to last much longer. Super, super easy. So that's it. Homemade bacon.